Good morning, Eastern Oregon. This is October 26th, 2023. Welcome to this version. We're glad you're here with us of AM Live on EOA, on the EOA network.
Boy, you mixed that one up.
I did, yeah.
I can tell right off the hop.
Because you were like, you were fussing with things at the last minute.
Well, I couldn't see the monitor, but I could right off. I'm like, uh-oh, let's see how he saves it.
Yeah.
You saved it though. You saved it.
It was all out of order, but
it's still, yeah. You didn't miss anything. Hey, and if you want to download it on Roku, on your Roku device in the search bar, just type EO Live. It'll bring up our app. A lot of people are watching especially the live streams on Roku, so you can have it on your TV. Not that you can't have it on your TV through YouTube or Facebook or whatever, but the Roku app is super easy and it's easy to download. It's free. Well, that's one of the cool things about our content. There's not a lot of places that give you just free content all the time, and that's what we do.
Good deal. How are you this morning, man?
I'm good. NBA season started yesterday. Well, they had 2 games of the day before. The season actually, like the kickoff was last night, and yeah, I don't like the weather this time of year, but I like sports this time of year because we got football, college football, basketball.
There's a lot going on. I was looking through our feed the other day. It's like sports.
I don't know. It's been pretty. Yeah. That's fall though. I mean,
right. It is. Yeah.
Fall.
There's just so much going on.
Yeah. It's a busy time.
Yeah.
Very busy.
Especially with all of EOU stuff also.
Yeah. And it's exciting because EOU is good. You know what I mean? Like even the football team, they don't have a great record, but they've progressively gotten better and better this year. And those first 4 games, I was just like, oh no, not another year of this. And then we kind of turned it around. We turned the corner, and even though we lost to Carroll at homecoming, they showed up. I mean, that was a heck of a game against a really good 6th rank in the country Carroll team.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's been the fall's been good, but then again, summertime, right around the end of July, we're smacked with sports too. Then.
Yep.
Because of the Shrine Game, which is really a really fun thing that we get to do as well.
Absolutely. Well, you want to do sports?
Sure, let's do it.
All right.
AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit, 411 First Street in LeGrand. They have everything for your hobby needs. Traxxas RC cars. They have STEM products, which are, like for your kids for school. They have board games. They have awesomest Lego selection. They have Kadamas. I have one in my office. I play with it quite regularly. Yeah, I mean, Joe and his team there at Hobby Habit, they're doing a great job. The place is completely updated. You walk inside and it doesn't look like the old Hobby Habit. It looks like the Hobby Habit of 2023. Hobby Habit, just for the fun of it. Sports-wise, let's talk about EOU cross country first. They ran yesterday at the Sasquatch Invitational in Spokane. Our very own Bennett Welch, you guys have seen him and heard him on everything. He does all the editing. He produces. He's like a jack of all trades here. He ran in that event. The men got 2nd and the women got 4th. And man, this EOU men's cross country team is going to end up in the top 5 probably this year in the country. And that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's great.
Benny sent me a picture yesterday. Didn't send me a picture. He posted it on his story of over there in Spokane, and it was snow on the ground. So,
man.
So I told him, I'm like, oh yeah, 2 things I really love: snow and running. It's just like, nah, I'll pass. EOU men's and women's soccer had a nice weekend this last weekend. It was senior day on Saturday for both of the teams. They played Corbin on Saturday. The men tied. The women won 3-1, and then on 3-2, excuse me. And then on Friday, they both played Bushnell, and they both won on Friday. So good weekend for EOU men's and women's soccer. They finish out the regular season this weekend on the road. But the cool thing is both teams, the women are in the conference tournament, and the men has a chance. If they win out, they have a chance, if they win both their games this weekend, to make the conference tournament, which is cool. I mean, they haven't made it in a few years, so it'll be nice to see them in that tournament. EOU volleyball stayed at the number 3 spot in the country when the polls came out yesterday. I don't really agree with that for the simple fact that Columbia, Nebraska was the number 1 team. Indiana Wesleyan was the number 2 team. We were the number 3 team coming in. In the last 2 weeks, because they do the polls every 2 weeks, Columbia lost twice. Indiana Wesleyan didn't lose at all, and we didn't lose at all. Columbia dropped to 4. Indiana Wesleyan went up to 1. We didn't go to 2. A team jumped us. And so, yeah, the NAIA, when it comes to volleyball, is very, very, very favoritive of the Midwest because that's where most of the really good teams are. But the Cascade Collegiate Conference has the number 3 team in EOU, the number 16 in Corbin, and then the number 16 team in Southern. So we have 3 teams ranked in the top 25. That's pretty cool. This weekend, EOU hosts Bushnell on Friday night, and then Saturday they host Corbin, which they beat in 3 sets earlier in the year in Salem. But that's the biggest game of the year so far for EOU. I mean, obviously, once we get into the CCC tournament and the national tournament, games get bigger. But the cool thing about this weekend is if EOU wins both of them, I mean, it pretty much solidifies a CCC regular season championship for them because they finish on the road at LC State and Walla Walla, which are 2 not great opponents. They shouldn't give us much of a problem. So that game on Saturday, though, we're going to miss it because we're going to Boise State to watch Peasley and the Wyoming Cowboys. Last week, Peasley against the Air Force, he threw for 3 touchdowns and ran for a touchdown. It's pretty exciting for Wyoming. Boise State's 3-4, Wyoming's 5-2, and Wyoming has 2 top 25 victories this year, which is really cool. I mean, it's super exciting. Pendleton and Baker will play tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at the Roundup grounds for the GOL championship in football. It'll be live streamed right here on the EO Live network. And then at the same time, LeGrand and Ontario will be playing here in LeGrand, live streamed on the EO Live network. And I mean, the LeGrand Ontario game is basically like, I would call it like a pride game for LeGrand. I don't think we're going to get in the playoffs, but there's I think we match up pretty good with Ontario. It should be like a good game. And there's just a couple different levels. You got Pendleton and Baker up here who haven't lost. And in that game, Baker's receiving core, Malachi Meyer, Rashawn Jones, and their quarterback, Hobson, they throw the ball really well, and they're clicking. They've won, I think, 3 in a row in the league, and they're hitting their stride right now, which is kind of scary for Pendleton because if you look at Pendleton, their weakness is their defensive backfield. We threw against them. I mean, you saw it in the first quarter of the game last week against LeGrand where Peasley had a couple touchdown passes early. The positive for Pendleton is they're better than Baker up front. So what they're going to have to do tomorrow night is they're going to have to put pressure on Hobson, on Baker's quarterback, in order to win that game. LeGrand and Ontario, LeGrand's just going to have to, reach down deep and find some grit. They've had some tough losses. I mean, they came out last week, threw 14 on the board early against Pendleton, and then were outscored 33-0 the rest of the game. So it's just one of those things where LeGrand's going to have to dig down deep. Both of those games kick off at 7. We'll go live at 6:30, and I'll be on the call for the LeGrand game, so join us. Yeah. This morning sports report is brought to you by Hobby Habit, just for the fun of it.
Good stuff. Yeah. We haven't talked. I mean, we didn't have a show Tuesday, but yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the game between Pendleton and LeGrand,
I think I cursed us, man.
They look good.
I said I was surprised.
I mean, it was. They did well.
And what a tough year for that team, though. I mean, see, you're real young. You graduate 22 seniors last year. We knew this. New coach. We knew that.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like other teams were in the similar position. outside of, Baker's got their quarterback is a senior. Malachi Myers is a senior. Rashawn Jones, though, is a sophomore, and he's going to be there for a few more years. You know what I mean? And what I haven't seen from, I've seen a couple, Landon Hood being the one that comes to mind, but like some guys that are going to be there next year for LeGrand and like really, because I feel like it's going to be a couple years of this on the kind of, like rebuilding scheme, and then maybe the sophomores that are sophomores now, their senior year will be back, competing for a GOL title. Obviously I want us to be there next year.
Right.
But when I look at it, that, the junior class is I don't have anybody that like comes to mind like I do with the sophomores. Yeah. Savon Shaw, Landon Hood. But we'll see. Hopefully they can find a way to pull it off tomorrow night. That'd be good for them.
Yep.
It really would.
And I'm looking forward to the game on Saturday. You and I going to that'll be a fun game.
It's going to be fun. We're going to bring old Lee with us, so our ears are going to be burning.
Yeah, I've never been to even a college football game. Yeah, let alone an NFL.
Oh, like a D1 game?
Yeah. I've been to games here, but
not a big college football game.
Yeah.
And it's going to be packed, too.
Yeah, it will be.
There's going to be a lot of Peasley fans from LeGrand.
And that's so fun. Yeah.
They're having a party and if you're planning on going, they're having a party next door. I think it's the Marriott in the conference room in the hotel that's right there by the stadium. And they said, bring your own drinks, bring your own food, but come and party with anybody that's going to support Peasley.
Well, hopefully we can get there early enough to kind of peek in.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. We'll certainly have something to show you, pictures or something from the game, because we're both going to be on the sideline.
After.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
Yep.
So, and let's take a look outside at the weather. It's kind of fall. Fall is full on.
It was cold last night.
Yeah. Well, and it's supposed to be, we're supposed to get in a cold snap the rest of this week. So
the high is 43 today.
Yeah. Ooh. 42 tomorrow, Saturday 44, Sunday 48. So it's just, but if you look at, when you watch national weather, there's like this gigantic cold front that's coming through.
Yeah, I follow our old weatherman Gabe.
Yeah.
On social media, and it was snowing yesterday out in Somerville.
Yeah. Somerville is like its own little winter island out there.
Yeah, all the way to about like the first curve on Hunter.
Yeah.
On Hunter Road, if you hit that first curve that goes left.
Yeah.
Anything
past that, anything
north of that is like
just finding maybe just the way that it's tucked into Mount Emily or something.
I don't know, but it's like its own geographical weather station.
Its own little snow zone. Yeah.
Let me give these tickets away.
Yeah.
So the winner from the post from last week, and I'm going to tag her on social media here, Selena Gutierrez. So I'll send her a message. I'm going to tag her right now. Boom.
And these are the tickets from the Haunted Warehouse.
Yep, to go this weekend. This is the last weekend.
Right. So they're going to be open this weekend, and then they will be open Halloween night. And we have two other sets of tickets. No, how many? One more set of tickets that we're going to be giving away.
Yep.
So watch for that if you want to be a part of that and attend that. So.
And we'll give those away today.
Yep.
We'll give those away today. As soon as the show's over, we'll get a post up, and all you have to do is like and tag somebody.
Yep.
And you have a chance at winning.
Good deal.
And we'll give those away tomorrow. So it'll be a short giveaway.
Right. Yeah, and people can have. Again, they're open this Friday and Saturday, and then on Halloween night, which is Tuesday. So, all righty, guys. Well, Rikki Jo Hickey from our own Arts Update is here with us today, and she's involved in a lot of different things, including the upcoming musical. Is it a musical? Drama, the upcoming play that is at EOU called Dracula. You might have seen that, and that show opens on Halloween night also. So she'll be with us here in just a minute. We'll be back. All right. Hi, Rikki.
Hi.
Glad you're here. This is Rikki Jo Hickey, which in itself is catchy, right?
Yes.
Has it always been?
It has. My parents loved me.
And that literally is.
That's my name.
That's your given name.
Named after the Steely Dan song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Rick Don't Lose That Number.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for being here with us.
Yeah.
And you're in our studio every week doing the arts update,
Yes.
and that's kind of a labor of love,
Yes.
I guess, on both of our parts, because we don't really have a sponsor right now. But tell the story about how we connected a number of different places, but the arts update got started because you came to a city council meeting, and during the public comment time, you said, I'm going to use this time to tell you what's happening in the arts community.
Yes.
Yeah. And you had a script, and you're always extremely prepared. And with those public things, you have 3 minutes. And so you motored
And out of time.
Yeah, you did. You went through that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But through that, then you and I had a conversation like, well, that would be super cool to do that on the EOA network. And so be sure and check that out. And we're looking for sponsors for that. And because we think it's valuable. It's got some stuff for us. So, but let's talk about you. So,
okay.
Give me kind of a thumbnail version of where you grew up and
I grew up here.
Okay.
Yeah. So everybody in this town probably knows me. I am kind of the weirdo in town.
Yeah.
That always have been, just
Yeah.
outgoing and loud. And I've always been involved in theater since I was little. The first time I was involved in an EOU show was Little Shop of Horrors when I was about 8 years old, and it was in Inlow Hall. The theater
really?
was upstairs in Inlow Hall.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I've kind of always been drawn to theater. I got my undergraduate degree here at Eastern, and then I went on to University of Hawaii in Manoa and got my master's over there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And both of that in theater or what?
Yes, theater
Okay.
with directing as an emphasis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like directing is my passion. I really, really love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you moved back here a few years ago, right?
Yes. So I've gone away and come back several times. This is home base. And the most recent time was in the middle of COVID, actually. We were evicted because our landlords needed their home back, which was not a reason that they couldn't evict you during COVID, because they were like putting those on hold. So we were booted and we moved back in with my in-laws, who were so incredibly gracious, until we could find a place of our own. And so we found a home, and we hope to stick around for at least to get our kids through school.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Good.
Yeah.
And how old are your kids?
5, 10, and 20.
Good. All right. And your husband works remotely. Is that right? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, he
Okay.
works for ICF International, and it's he's an archaeologist. He's like my own Indiana Jones. I love it. Yeah.
Well, cool. So you're involved. You've got your fingers in a lot of things, and
Yes.
I don't mean that in a controlling manner.
No,
It's just that you're involved in a lot of stuff. You're part of the haunted house. right now.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Well, I just did actor training out there. So,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And that was really fun. But
Yeah.
so now I've stepped back and they're having fun.
So yeah, and it's so funny because actor training for a haunted house,
It's important.
that's intense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I hate haunted houses. I hate going through them. They're so terrifying. But I love working with the actors. It's
Yeah.
so much fun. And I love watching what Jerry does out there. She's incredible, just incredible. Everything. She pays attention to details. And the people, the actors are just, they're doing a wonderful job. And they went through training super fast and they've got it. Like they just know what to do. And I love it.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then you're also in the actual production Dracula, right?
Yes. Up at EOU.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about that. And we're hopefully maybe we can get them to come on next Tuesday. But go ahead and tell us a little bit about that production.
So Dracula was cast, I think, in the first week of classes. So we've only had 4 weeks to get this put together.
Oh, wow.
And up and running, which is much shorter than a regular production. Yeah. So these actors, I've been so impressed with them. There are, I believe, 5 or 6 current EOU students, 1 staff member, and 2 alumni in the show. So that's really fun. I'm the old lady in the show. It's kind of interesting. And these young actors are incredibly gracious. They've been so wonderful and kind. It's been an amazing run, our production so far. And we open on Halloween and there's only 5 performances. So it ends on Saturday, but all shows start at 7. It's really exciting.
Wow. And who's directing that show?
Mike Heather. And he's doing a wonderful job. And he's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he also designs the set and builds the props. And he's incredible. Like,
so and this is at McKinsey? Where's the theater?
Yeah, it's in McKinsey Theater. Up
okay. And so then in 4 weeks, gone from 0 to full show.
Yes.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been intense.
Yeah.
Last couple nights, I've been masked up. Finally woke up today feeling good, but I was masked up because I didn't want to get the fellow actors sick with this short of a time period to get things ready. So by the end of rehearsal last night, I was just completely beat, running around in boots with a mask on, trying to do all these actions. And
yeah. Now the character, who do you play in the show?
I get to play Van Helsing. Okay. Yeah. Neil LaBute is the playwright, and he actually wrote the script so that Van Helsing is a 50-year-old female doctor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a different twist.
Yes.
Now it does, and I think you said offline that the whole show is it's got a little bit of a different twist, is it?
Yeah. So Neil LaBute also wrote the Van Helsing series for Netflix.
Okay.
So I think this was his exploration of how he could make Dracula a little more contemporary for viewers. And so in that, the females are stronger characters then, instead of just kind of the victims all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
So, and then you opened a business downtown, an acting school.
Yes.
I'm still I can't pronounce the name.
That's okay.
Yeah.
mNemosyne Studios.
mNemosyne.
Sini.
Sini.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
She's a Greek Titan goddess.
Okay, I was going to say there's got to be a reason, right?
There is.
You just didn't. Yeah.
No, she's the mother of the muses and the goddess of memory.
Okay.
And that just seemed fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want my actors to leave the studio feeling inspired to move on and go try new things and new adventures.
Well, and it's unique. I don't know. I've been here 25 years or so, and I don't know of anybody that's ever had an acting school here.
Well, I did a while back. I was in the Marital Center, but it was like just as we were starting to grow, my husband and I left town again.
Okay.
Yeah, because he got a really great job offer. So that's what we did. And so it was just starting to take off. So it's not really well known, but this one I'm really excited about. I have my own space and we built a little stage, and my current students are just wonderful. I love them.
Well, so talk about the age range of students that you kind of hope to have.
I love working with ages 3 through adults. I just really love working with people. Right now, my students are 6 through 43, and it's super fun. I love it. And I've got 3 different classes running right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're in the space right next to LeGrand Main Street.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and is HQ just down a
Yeah.
few doors. Yeah. And
Yeah, so it goes me and then High Tech Nails, Becky's Studio of Dance, and
Okay,
then
yeah,
HQ. It's pretty exciting. All in one block. We've got all this great stuff happening.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's cool. And so no, and I was in My Fair Lady in 2016, and so that was like that pulled me. I had done theater when I was in college, and that kind of pulled me back in, and
Awesome.
that was like a whiplash of getting back into it. So no, that's very cool. Well, what now you're also, I know, let's talk about the arts update a little bit.
Okay.
And kind of talk to me about how that has evolved and where that's kind of going right now. Yeah.
Well, since our conversation on 4th Street that one time, that was really awesome. I loved that you pulled over and talked to me while I was walking down the street. We just kind of tried out randomly what I could figure out for, informing people what is going on in the Valley, similar to what I did, which was your suggestion and a great one. And it's been really fun just getting to know the arts community beyond LeGrand.
Yeah.
It's been really fascinating. So I've gotten to know some folks in Baker and John Day and Enterprise and Pendleton. And it's just been super fun talking about the art activities that people could get involved in and also just kind of go and witness.
Mhm.
So we broke it down into both music and art over time because we realized that it would work better for the segment to have both music and art in there. And there's always so much going on. And what I've noticed is music is like way over the top. There's so much going on in the summer and then it quiets down. But now the arts have all picked up and there's so much going on all over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before I ask this question, and we have, we're always looking for material to play during half times at games, and so I think it was the weekend before in Pendleton, I played the arts update during the halftime, so that because I knew that, you were talking about activities regionally. So it's very cool. So talk about, you mentioned arts that you can observe and participate in, help people understand the difference between those.
So most of the art centers in the region and John Day, there's Painted Sky Center for the Arts, and then the Crossroads Carnegie Art Center in Baker, Art Center East in LeGrand, the Joseph E. Center in Joseph, and the Pendleton Center for the Arts in Pendleton. All of those tend to have galleries with artist work displayed in them. So during the open hours, you can go and actually take a look at the art. And then there's the art that you can participate in. Did you ask about that?
Yeah, no,
okay.
Help me understand the difference then.
So the difference then is that these art centers also offer classes to people.
Okay.
And so they offer classes for, similar to my studio, young ages 0 through adult. And a lot of the time during the school year, there's a lot more for kids to do than adults. But usually there's a weekly class that happens at every art center that kids can go and participate in. And then the adult classes tend to change up. And a lot of places have both music and visual arts available.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, when I was a kid, which was a long time ago, I remember I always enjoyed art, and I've thought about that many times. My daughter's an artist, and I thought maybe I should have pursued that a little bit more. But I really enjoyed it as a kid. Are there that many in the public schools? Are they introducing art? Are there projects along? What's your observance in that area? It was an emphasis when I was a kid. I guess I'm wondering, and I totally don't know. Is that still an emphasis in our public schools?
So you can take art classes, yes. Funding has just changed so much since the focus has become testing and making sure kids are getting the good scores. So funding for the arts has definitely dropped. However, teachers and administrators and staff do as much as they can to introduce youth to the arts. And oftentimes it just falls on teachers who aren't necessarily familiar with or have been educated in the arts.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot more basic, which isn't a problem. It still introduces the kids and they still get to explore, but there's not in-depth learning, unfortunately. at least for the younger ones. And once you get into high schools have art classes, of course, to help prep kids for, what they want to do when they grow up.
But I mean, and I'm remembering, I think we had a designated art teacher when I was a kid, and so then, and I guess the point of that is then these activities that art centers are offering for kids is kind of fills a gap that maybe we're not seeing in public schools.
Absolutely, it does. And a lot of the art centers now actually have been able to gather funding to give free classes to youth. So say Pendleton Center for the Arts has a lot of free classes for their teenagers, which is exceptional. And they also have drop-in art classes.
Yeah.
Art Center East here in the Grand, they have a program called Artists in Rural Schools, the AIRS program. And through that, schools can actually get grants and bring in an artist for 2 weeks to teach in the public schools.
Oh, cool.
So that's one way to do it. So for example, I went to Long Creek last year and taught puppetry to preschool through high school.
Oh, interesting.
And it was so wonderful. I loved it. I get to actually go back and do some more theater with Long Creek this next year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think I saw a post where you were doing puppets, or you had somebody that had made was that recently? Did you do a?
So I've also been writing a script for Optimist International.
Okay.
And this script, I met up with a guy who's from Canada. He's an optimist in Canada, and he has an optimist club that does junior curling. And so he teaches curling, and he just really wanted a puppet show based on this novel that he'd read, or this nonfiction youth book that he'd read. And he got permission from the author, and she said, yes, please do. And he's just envisioned this puppet show for, I don't know, a few years. And when we met, he realized that I did puppetry and I like to do theater. And I was like, yes, I'll jump right on board for that. So I've been writing a script for that. There's just a whole bunch of puppets that are curling, and it's really fun. But the main character is a dog, or not a dog. The main character is a boy, and I turned all of the boy's interactions with his family into interactions with his pet dog, just to tighten up the script. And so the puppet that you saw was probably Ruff, the dog. He's just wonderful. I love him so much. He's the cutest, and he steals the show. Unfortunately, the dog steals the show, but that's the case with shows like that.
Well, and it's funny because when I was involved as a teen in a youth group in our church back in Wyoming, we did puppets, and that was, and it was such a, and I guess the point of that is that, whatever it is, there's a huge emphasis on STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, right? Yeah. And particularly in STEM for girls, to get them thinking about those technologies at a young age. Arts is it doesn't matter what it is, but arts is one of those things, is if you introduce those options to kids at a young age, then they can kind of figure out, well, am I good at that, or do I have an interest in that, or whatever the case might be,
Yeah.
And I've spent quite a bit of time talking with our local people about, anti-drug education and the issues that we have in Union County, and so on and so forth. And, one of the probably the most key factor of a kid staying out of trouble is that they've connected with a coach or a choir director or a teacher or a something, and that their identity is centered around something other than going and hanging out with their friends and getting in trouble, or their friends that are in trouble getting in trouble with them, whatever the case might be. So, and arts and music, this is all just a really important part of coaxing kids in the right direction. I
think so. We have art therapy now because it is such a great way for people to just kind of express themselves, right? And it's actually called, I think they call it STEAM now, because they are including arts in it now. Okay. So they add in the A. So it's the science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I think they're realizing that finding the whole person is helping bring up better contributors to communities. Yeah. And they just that connection that you're talking about is one of the biggest ways to battle addictions and things like that is human connection.
Yeah.
And so I think anything we can do to rope in kids and say, hey, you matter, we care about you, your future is important to us, it's important to the community.
Yeah.
I think all of that, just everything we can do helps.
Yeah. Well, cool. So what else have you written? I mean, I didn't know about that until we started talking here, that you like to write also. So what's kind of your passion there?
Anything that has to do with theater, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing a research book, and it has been such slow going since grad school, because research is expensive. So I have to kind of do it in short bursts, and it's also a really heavy topic. Probably not one to really talk about here, but that also makes it hard to do the research, because I'll get so weighed down by everything that I'm researching.
Yeah.
And I just have to step back for a while. I also have written a couple of plays that one of them has been produced, and one of them I'm hoping to workshop soon. The one that's been produced has only been produced on college campuses, and it was trying to explore silence in relationships and what that silence might mean. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then a puppet show.
And then a puppet show.
A puppet show about curling.
About curling.
Okay,
yes.
so then the question is how puppets have no floor.
No.
Yeah, so and curling is on the floor.
I know.
Yeah, so how do you? I mean, is that going to be in the mind of the viewer, or what's your kind of your idea?
Ideally, I came up with this really elaborate set that really wouldn't work anywhere for the script, because my friend in The Optimist who commissioned it was really wanting to see the puppets having that curling happening on the floor, which you actually could do in lots of different puppetry styles across the world. The puppeteers are on stage and you can see them, and they can move on the floor.
Okay.
I've directed a play like that before, where the puppeteers were part of the show, and they were all black, so they kind of blend in, or they're not noticeable. But this one I think would work better with a combination of puppetry styles, like regular puppets that we see, hand and mouth puppets, rod puppets, but also with shadow puppetry. That also works really well. So you can project behind the puppet stage up on a screen, so the curling that would be going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. And in theater and these types of things, sometimes the less set is even because you have to fill in those gaps with your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be a very powerful thing for the audience, because they're invested now.
Yeah.
They don't even know it, but mentally they're invested. I mean, so if an actor is, as horrified by something off screen, and you can't tell what it is they're horrified of, a monster or whatever the case might be, then I mean, sometimes that character that somebody has in their mind is way worse than what you ever could create on stage.
Very similar to reading a book, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Like the Stephen King movies are not ever as scary as the books that I read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your imagination is so good at filling in those gaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So when did you graduate from high school here?
My gosh, are you supposed to ask women those kinds of questions?
Okay.
99.
The area. 99.
I graduated in 99.
And you graduated in 97, right? So so just a couple of years difference between each other. Yeah. And I think I moved here in 97. So no, that's cool. So who were kind of your influences in high school?
Well, Bud Duncan up at the high school with the journalism was a big influence. Yeah. And my friend, Matt Gerber, we started Tiger Television up there.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. So my friend, I was the producer of Tiger Television, and he was kind of the engineer. And then we swapped roles when it came to like the class, because then he was class president and I was VP. So we had a lot of fun as kind of leadership kids in the school. So Bud Duncan and Mike Frazier as choir teacher and musical director, and Deanna Brickman. She let me be her assistant director of my freshman year of high school for Taming of the Shrew.
Oh, wow.
I was just definitely hooked after that. I had to decide between softball and theater that year, because I was trying to do both and I couldn't. So I went with theater.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. And Matt, I'm still in connection with Matt every once in a while.
Nice.
Yeah, and he's astounding, just like you would have planned that like you knew he would be.
An amazing human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, very cool. And yeah, all of those, Mike Frazier and I are good friends, and we've done productions together.
Thanks.
In fact, that was the reason I was in My Fair Lady, is because I knew he was. We had produced a show. We had done. Anyhow, we had done a show together. I was the producer and he was the director, and then so I wanted to do something with him, and that's kind of how I got pulled into My Fair Lady. So, yeah. Anyhow, those are all of those people are just rock stars, and that's and they just make such a difference in the lives of, especially when you're in high school and you're kind of looking for a groove. Yeah,
for sure. And even in college, the professors there were amazing. Like, I named my firstborn after Lyle Schwartz.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Lyle just had such a big impact on my life in a really rough time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean, the theater, I think art in particular, and same with coaches, like you were talking about with sports, when you make those connections, it really just can change a person's life. And those folks really changed my life and helped me become a better human being over time.
Yeah. Well, very cool. So any big dreams out there that you're wanting to accomplish?
Oh my goodness. I have so many dreams, Brent, just so many. I think the biggest thing is that I just really want to see, I want to see the performing arts just come alive in the Valley. So I'm really looking forward to the Liberty Theater opening and being able to send students from my school out to both Elgin and up to the college and just helping be a driving force for the arts. Really, I don't know if I really have any big dreams for myself now beyond knowing that I'm helping the community kind of grow and feel and explore and be proud of being Union County, Eastern Oregon residents, right?
Yeah.
I just want people to be happy to be here and be proud of it.
Well, cool.
So,
Well, before we quit, one more time, just tell us about your business and where it's at and how people can get a hold of you.
Oh, yeah. So the business is mNemosyne Studios, and it's located at 104 Depot Street. And the website is www.holisticacting.com. And people can register for classes. The class registration for this year for this quarter is about to cut off. I will still let people join through next week. But then no more registration after that until end of December, beginning of January.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Rikki, for being here with us today. And thanks for your passion in doing the arts and music update for us and stuff. And that is, it's unique. We haven't, and that was one of the reasons I reached out to you. I mean, we look for relationships with people who are like Rikki, and they have a passion for something, and they bring the intellectual property that we could never dig up, and partner with them with the production side of it and make something that benefits all of the community. Yeah. So thanks so much for partnering with us.
I'm so glad you reached out. Like it's been wonderful. Thank you.
Cool. And I know it's a lot of work for you.
I'm learning the process. It's getting easier over time. And now that I've made connections with the art centers, they're actually sending me information now. I don't have to reach out as much anymore, which is very helpful.
Good. And that's, as you've gone along, I said, what should this be? It's like, well, whatever you want to invest in it, if you don't have to invest as much as you are, it doesn't. So appreciate what you're doing. So, all right, man, you want to get us out of here?
Let's do it. When you were talking about curling, that's like the sport curling.
Yes.
You know what that is, right? That's a bunch of dudes that got together and said, how can we get a beer guzzling bar sport into the Olympics? And they said, we'll just put shuffleboard on ice.
You think is that really how it happened?
No, I think the first time it was in the Olympics was like in the 1920s, but it wasn't an official Olympic event recognized by the committee until in the 90s, late 90s.
But it's funny because I listened to a was listening to a podcast about a professional skater. Who's the guy? Anyhow, it doesn't matter. My names are escaping me this morning. So,
Like ice skater?
yeah, you know,
Apollo Antonono?
No, he's the famous. He's in his mid-60s now, and he has suffered with cancer a couple of different times.
No. The only skater I know is Apollo Antonono.
Anyhow, curling came up, and he said one of the reasons that a sport like that is popular for people is because it's something they actually can envision themselves doing, you know, where a professional skater that's spinning and doing jumps and whatever. I mean, there's
that kind of skater.
Yeah. There's
Greg Louganis.
No,
he was a diver.
Yeah. But I think his first name is Greg. No, but anyhow, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Anyhow, and that was one of the powerful things of curling is that people could well, that looks cool. I could do that. You know, let's go out on the street and shove an iron across the street and see if we can get it in the circle.
Yeah, and that's why my friend Al wanted to do it.
Scott Hamilton. Yeah.
That's why it's an Optimus International thing, is because we can actually get all sorts of kids. They actually have platforms that you can do with kids in wheelchairs. And it's amazing. It is open for everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of it's a little bit like lawn bowling. Is that what they call that? Where they have a circle and and they, I mean, it's a little bowl, a ball like that, and they bowl. You know, you bowl it, and you're trying to get it. Anyhow, it's a similar sport. But all right,
let's do it.
Yeah.
On this day, October 26th, 1942, lead pencils first used.
For what? 1842?
1942.
Okay.
Or 1492.
Okay, I was going to say
1492.
Thank you.
Not 1942. 1492. On this day in 1861, the Pony Express ends after 19 months of operation. It only lasted that long.
Yeah, maybe because the telegraph then came in right about then.
On this day in 1881, the gunfight at the OK Corral, the most famous shootout in the Wild West, occurred between lawmen, including Wyatt Earp, and the Cowboys, with Tom and Frank McClory and Billy Clanton killed in the action.
Isn't that funny? So interesting. That whole fight actually happened between two buildings about the size. It wasn't really a corral. It was near the corral. And a space about the size of a double car garage. And it lasted 20 seconds.
1954, Chevrolet unveiled the V8 engine. 1954. You'd think the V8 would have been a lot longer than that. 2001, on this day, the United States passes the USA Patriot Act. So 2001.
Wow.
On this day. So what was it, about September, October? A month and a half after 9/11, the Patriot Act went into effect. 2018, on this day, the longest World Series game in history, and I'm talking about that because the World Series starts tomorrow, by both innings and time. Dodgers beat the Red Sox 3-2 in 18 innings. The game lasted 7 hours and 20 minutes. It was Game 3 of the 2018 World Series, and it ended on a walk-off home run by mNemosyne in the 18th inning.
3-2.
Yeah, that was a long game.
Yeah, so it was tied. It was tied at 2-2 and ends.
Well, it could have been 1-1. I don't remember. It could have been 1-1 and then 2-2. You know what I mean?
It ends with a walk-off.
A walk-off home run. Yeah, by mNemosyne.
So what's a walk-off home run? Oh, I mean,
like game over. Like he hits the home run.
Oh, got it.
It's the bottom half of the inning.
Oh, walk-off
means the bottom half of the inning. Yeah.
Walk-off means that he can just take his time around the bases.
Well, walk-off just means that everybody's it comes from everybody walking off the field.
Got it. So how many ever people are on base, they're scoring. Okay.
Yeah, which doesn't matter if it's tied. Just the only run. There doesn't even have to be anybody on base. If it's tied, you hit a home run, game's over. It's the bottom of the inning. The number one movie in America on this day in 1993, Nightmare Before Christmas. And quote of the day, Helen Keller: "The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. One more time. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart.
Good stuff.
Boom. Yeah, tomorrow night, 6:30, we'll start the streams. Pendleton and Baker for the GOL championship, and LeGrand in Ontario. Kickoffs at 7. And yeah.
And the Wyoming game is going to be Wyoming BSU is going to be, that's nationally televised, right?
2:30 our time.
Yep.
Yeah, 2:30 our time. And then on the sports show today, I'll have EOU men's basketball head coach Chris Kemp. They're receiving votes in the national poll. They got second place in the CCC last year. They made the CCC tournament, made the national tournament. Pretty exciting. And then I have a couple players. I have a Carroll transfer, and he's like the dude, Johnny Hillman. And then the point guard, AJ Huddleston, will be on today as well. So, yeah.
All right. Thanks,
next
Eastern
week.
Oregon. Thanks, Rikki, for being with us.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Yeah. We'll see you soon.